Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Vijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yodavandana Yashodananda Namo Bhakira Hare Namo Hare Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Jaya Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Jaya Jaya Subhadramani Jaya एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमादि श्रीवान ग्रेसेसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव रत्न की निताय गौर प्रेम। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. Today we are covering Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 30, verse number 17 and 18. Verse 17 goes like this. Divya Varsha Sahasranam Sahasram Mahatausjasaha Bhoman Bhokshata Bhogan Vai Divyamschanu Grahan Mama. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Lord then blessed all the Pracetas, saying, My dear princess, by your mercy, by my mercy, you can enjoy all the facilities of this world as well as the heavenly world. Indeed, you can enjoy all of them without hindrance and with full strength for 1,000,000 celestial years. Verse 18. Athamai anapainya bhaktya pakva gunashaya upayasyata madhama nirvidya nirayadataha. Translation. Thereafter you will develop unadulterated devotional service to me and be freed from all material contamination. At that time, being completely unattached to material enjoyment in the so-called heavenly planets as well as in hellish planets, you will return home back to Godhead. So purports we'll see during the class. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Gurun Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Namaste तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा वेलकम टू द श्रीमद् भागवतम क्लास. So first of all, I would like to take the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas. Please accept my humble obeisances. So today's two verses, actually Vishnu is very pleased with the Pracetas and he is giving the benedictions. Why Lord is pleased with the Pracetas? Anybody knows? Every evening they used to pray, okay. So cooperation, yes, cooperation. And not only cooperation, because there may be so many materialistic people also, they may be cooperating. The cooperation and at the same time serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this Srila Prabhupada says is very, very important. Cooperatively come together and at the same time serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Pracetas performed very severe austerities also. So tapodivyam putrakayana sattvam shuddhet brahma saukhyam anantam. So human life is very rare and at the same time it is meant for sacrifice. So and basically austerity, tapascharya. And here Vishnu is pleased with the cooperation of Pracetas for coming together and serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is giving the two benedictions. What are the two benedictions? Did you hear? The Pope, the translation. Yeah, enjoy all the facilities of this earthly planet as well as heavenly planets. And how many years? 1 million celestial years. How much it is? How 1 million celestial years? How much it comes? 6 months of Srila Prabhupada explains this. 6 months of our earthly, how much our days it comes, it is equal to how many hours in the heavenly planets? 12 hours. So you can imagine how 1 million celestial years is how much. So now we may wonder why Lord is giving the facility to enjoy. Lord is telling all of us to give up the sense gratification, right? But here he is only giving the facilities of this world, not only this world, and heavenly world. Why Lord is giving? We are supposed to renounce the sense gratification. Why Lord Himself is giving? Any idea or thoughts? Vishnu, right? Vishnu is giving, not demigods also. Vishnu himself is giving facility. Why he is giving that? Anything we can think of? And okay, before that, what is the another benediction he gives? Returns to spiritual world. Enjoyment and spiritual world. It is Srila Prabhupada says what? Material enjoyment and spiritual life goes ill together. It doesn't go together. But here Vishnu is telling you will return home back to Godhead, and he is telling freed from all material contamination. So what kind of facilities Krishna, Vishnu is giving to Pracetas? That we have to understand. It's very, very important. There is something called material enjoyment, material sense gratification, material enjoyment. But giving the material facilities doesn't mean that we have to enjoy only in the material way. That's the point to be understood. So then how we can use everything? Srila Rupa Goswami, what he says? Use every facility, everything in the service of the Lord. That's very important. So using everything in the service of the Lord is called Yukta Vairagya. So here, Lord is giving Pracetas all the facilities. But what Lord is sure that Pracetas will not exploit the facilities. That's the important point to be noted. Krishna will give all the facilities to any of the devotees. Then the clause comes what? Provided or but. What is that but? Provided you will not exploit the facilities. If Krishna feels that we may exploit the facilities, then Krishna will not give the facilities. Simple. Why? Because if we have the facilities, then we will not progress in the path of pure devotional service. But here, Vishnu is very sure that if I give the facilities to Pracetas, that is also for 1 million celestial years, still they will not exploit it. So this is the symptom of the pure devotees. Like pure devotee will never exploit the resources of the nature or whatever is facilities given to him. Srila Prabhupada went with 40 rupees to US. Now let us, when we hear that story, right, 40 rupees, it looks like a very, fascinating. Oh, 40 rupees went to US and then he started a international worldwide movement. Now, if we think little deep, so how much surrender is required to go to such a place? Now also, sometimes some of us may be traveling to foreign countries. We need accommodation. 1 month back, we will book the accommodation. Then flight tickets. Then we need some cash. Even if we carry some $1,000 also, we are not confident. Oh, $1,000 is enough or not? We think in that way. But 40 rupees at that time was actually didn't have any significance in US because that 40 rupees was not even exchangeable. Like I give 40 rupees, you give some $8 or something. Nobody is appreciating the rupees also. So that means almost he's penniless. Then he went, then he started the worldwide movement. Then what happened? Within 12 years, 108 temples. 108 temples, what is the total worth of it? Few crores of dollars. And so many faithful servants from various countries, Australia, Europe, USA, India, so many faithful servants who are ready to sacrifice even their life for Srila Prabhupada. And on the top of it, so many other outside followers, outside supporters, and crores of money. So why did Krishna give it to Srila Prabhupada? Because he was not attached. So this attachment is the thing. He was completely using everything in the service of the Lord. So here in the purport, as we are seeing the purport, being thus fully engaged, the Pracetas would be completely freed from all material attachment. Material attachment is very strong. During one lifetime, a materialist engages in acquiring land, money, then friends, society, friendship, love, and so on. He also wants to enjoy the heavenly planets after an annihilation of this body. See the tendency, it's deep rooted, very, very deep rooted tendency. Because in the heavenly planets, there is higher enjoyment. What kind of enjoyment? There is no diseases, only birth and death. No old age, no disease. So without any disease, one is fully enjoying. And then what else? There is no nature's call. The body doesn't stink. Or body full of youth and strength to enjoy. Such a body in the heavenly planets. And there are beautiful heavenly damsels and the various, what is that, the Nanda Kanana gardens, various material facilities to enjoy. So the conditioned soul is very much attached to these kind of sense gratification. It is here it said it's very strong, means what? Very deep rooted. This giving up the attachment to the matter or the material things. Even though that Jadananda, what the Jadananda is there, it is very, very small compared to even Brahmananda or the Premananda, what the devotee might be experiencing. The Jadananda is very, very small. It is because material happiness, it is, one thing is, it is very, very temporary. Ashashwatam. And so-called happiness also brings distress, dukkhalayam and ashashwatam. So even we know, theoretically, we know that we should not engage in sense gratification. Then material happiness is very flickering. And even though it is there, so-called material pleasure is there, it is temporary. Everything we know. But in spite of that, Srila Prabhupada is telling material attachment is very strong and deep rooted. So giving up the attachment to the material body and material things is very difficult. Even though we know what this body is made of. What this body is made of? Stool, urine, pus, blood, marrow, mucus, all obnoxious things. All the Navadwaras, all obnoxious things come. We know it and we are experiencing every day. We are dealing with stool, we are dealing with urine, we have to take care of the body. So much we have to do for the body. Morning, get up, 2-3 times a day, take bath, then feed it. Yeah, every time We need a time to time food. And for food only, we have to do have kitchen, cooking, so many things to take care of the body. And we know everything about the body. And then here, that's what. Prachetas would be completely freed from material attachments, but the conditioned soul is so much attached to material attachments. So it's so deep rooted, it's there. That in spite of knowing all these things, it's stool, urine, everything, we are still attached to material body. So that is the deep rooted attachment. We can see just going on the roads, some advertisement with some boy or girl, little bit less dressed, this one. And the conditioned soul is so much attracted. It is just a image. Because why? Because we are not understanding the nature of the material things. What is the Jada thing? What is Jadananda? And there is some higher pleasure also. So, raso varjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. There is higher taste. The higher ruchi is there in Premananda or Sevananda, service to spiritual master, service to Guru, service to Lord. This knowledge might be there, but that realization has not come. So that is the reason the living entity is still attached to material things. That's what he is telling. And Srila Prabhupada says, he becomes unattached. If one is engaged in devotional service, he becomes unattached to all kinds of material enjoyment and suffering. So there is no other way. Detachment from matter happens only when we get attached to Krishna or get attached to a pure devotee. So that is the reason best thing is what? Become attached to our spiritual master, become attached to his service, become attached to his instructions. So when we take into our consciousness the service of the spiritual master or the service of the devotees, then what will happen? Always thinking of that service. So then what will happen? Mind is not deviated. So vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana bahushaka anantascha budayo vyavasayina. So mind to be focused, we have to have attachment to someone or some personalities or some sevas so that we can give up the lower attachment. Then only that what is so the point called this detachment from matter can happen. Otherwise, the matter, the Jadananda only is bewildering for us. Jadananda, pleasure with the material body, we are enjoying with our body and we are attracted to others' body. This will go on and on and on, life after life after life, if we are bewildered by the Jadananda. But if our attachment, we are channelizing the same attachment to the body and others' body, if we are channelizing it towards Krishna or a pure devotee, very important, pure devotee. Why pure devotee? Krishna we can understand. Why pure devotee? Because our consciousness, Krishna is the closest personality who is near us, as Paramatma. But we cannot see Paramatma. So we think Goloka Nimasati. He is staying in Goloka Vrindavana Dham. And we are not finding him. Then how do we get the inspiration? Inspiration we get by seeing a living Bhagavata, personality Bhagavata. When we see the personality Bhagavata, we get that inspiration to serve or inspiration, enthusiasm to serve him. That is the motivation, actually. If we develop that strong attachment to that personality, who is having the attachment to Krishna, then we will also develop the attachment to Krishna. So that is what happened to Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Srila Prabhupada's disciples were attached to Srila Prabhupada. They were telling, we don't know who is Krishna, we have not seen. But we know, we can see Krishna through Srila Prabhupada because they were so much attached to Srila Prabhupada. Whatever he used to say, they used to faithfully, completely surrendered way, they used to completely follow. And now we can see they are leading the movement for more than 50 years in such a glorious way. How it is possible? Strong attachment to Srila Prabhupada. So in the same way, if we develop the strong attachment to our spiritual master, strong attachment to a pure devotee, then naturally our attachment to Krishna also increases. And then this detachment from the lower matter, the so-called matter. It's made of Pancha Mahabhuta. The body is made of Pancha Mahabhuta. That matter and the Jadananda reduces. That is why it is when we get the taste for the devotional service to our spiritual master, to the Vaishnavas, that is the stage of Ruchi. That Ruchi stage actually is the platform from where one starts giving up the lower nature, material nature, that Jadananda one can start giving up. Until then, one is not able to give up. Why? Because he is so much attached to the material enjoyment. That is, here Vishnu is allowing the Pracetas to have that material facility for 1 million celestial years. And he is telling what? You will be freed from all material contamination. You are enjoying all the facilities, still you will be freed from material contamination. And what type of enjoyment he is giving? He is providing heavenly girl to Pracetas. But for what? In the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is why we should not think, that the facility is there. That is for enjoyment of me and mine. So, ato graha kshetra sutapta vitter janasya mohoyam aham mameti. So, if I'm seeing everything in terms of me and mine, and everything is meant for my enjoyment, and I should be the center, then what will happen? Moha. We are completely bewildered by the illusory energy. So that moha is the one which will bind us again, life after life after life. Even after coming to devotee circle, if I am not coming, putting myself out of the center and keep Krishna in the center, until that point, we will be bewildered by material energy. That is what here actually Vishnu is giving them the material enjoyment. It is said so-called heavenly pleasures. It's called so-called heavenly pleasures because pure devotee is not affected by the material pleasures. He is using everything in the service of the Lord. And further here Srila Prabhupada is mentioning devotee Shri Radha Vinod Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya ki jai, Shri Nitai Gaurav ki jai. So devotee, however, is transcendental to both heavenly and hellish conditions. A devotee's position is described in this way. Mamchayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatiyaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So actually this Brahma Bhuta stage is, what is that stage? Is completely becoming free from the material attachments. But completely becoming free from material attachments, it is also obtained by whom? By whom? Brahma Bhuta stage. by the Brahmavadis also, where they want to merge with the Brahma Jyoti. That's also Brahma Bhuta stage. But what devotees aspire, not only being free from material attachment, but also being attached to the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is why Bhakti Yogena Sevate. Bhakti Yoga is important. So becoming free from the material attachments, even the Brahmavadis, the impersonalists, they will also achieve. But Bhaktas, they Brahma Bhuta stage for Bhaktas is attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what kind of attachment? Avyabhicharena Bhakti means what? Avyabhicharena Bhakti means what? Hmm? No? Complete absorption on whom? Avyabhicharena. Krishna is what actually? Krishna is jealous lover. You have heard this word? Krishna is jealous lover. So he wants his devotees purely to love only him. In the sense what? So that is called Avyabhicharena. What is Vyabhichara? Having multiple relations. What is Avyabhichara? Is having only one relation, that Krishna is everything for me. He is my master. So, I Nanda Tanuja Kinkara Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Rapaya Tavapu Dastitutuli Sadarsham Vichinte. So, I Nanda Tanuja Kinkara. So, my Lord of the heart is Krishna. That is Avyabhicharena. So, Mamchayo Avyabhicharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate. Then what happens? Sagunam Samatiyeta. What is the three gunas? Sattva, Raja, Tama. So the influence is very, very strong when one is having the false ego. Thinking that I am the enjoyer, I am the proprietor, I am the controller. Basically starts with thinking I am the material body. Then one thinks that I am the material body separate from Krishna. Is a Bhayam Ditya Abhini, this one, the separating. Dvitiya, like when we are separating from Krishna, what will happen? When we are separated from Krishna, when we forget Krishna. Krishna Bhuliya Jeev Bhog Vancha Kare, Pashate Maya Tare, Jhapati Adare. So how does she catch? She catches with the three modes of material nature. That is how she catches. Then here it said, Avyabhicharena Bhakti, if we have, we can transcend the modes of material nature. That means what? We are always thinking of Krishna. It is like always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna. So having the Avyabhicharena Bhakti, then what can happen? One transcends the three modes of material nature. Actually, transcending the three, it is very easy to say, transcending the material modes of nature. We are practicing since years. Some may practice 20 years, 30 years. Still, we are under the grips of three modes of material nature. Sometimes passion, ignorance, or even sometimes Sattva Guna itself it will bewilder us. So how one transcends the modes of material nature? How one can? Only by Avyabhicharena Bhakti. For having the Avyabhicharena Bhakti, that means to completely have the attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it starts with attachment to the spiritual master or the devotees. Unless we have attachment to devotees, strong attachment to devotees, strong attachment to spiritual master, it's very difficult to have strong attachment with the Lord. Because, Krishna Prema is something, it's a very high platform. Krishna Prema is a Prema stage, ninth stage. And from Anartha Nivritti to Premas, going to Prema, we need some path, right? That path we have to traverse. And what is the motivation? What is the encouragement? Utsahat Nishchaya Dhairya Tat Karma Pravartana. Sangha Sangatyaga Tato Vratte Shatpir Bhakti Prasityati. So this is the Upadeshamrita third verse. That Utsaha, how it does it come? How does the Utsaha come? So unless we have attachment or that loving relationship with the devotees or that attachment to the spiritual master, it is very difficult to move forward. Either we will be going with Nirutsaha, somehow, okay, my rounds are finished. I'm chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Somehow rounds are finished. Some seva I'm doing. I'm pushing myself every day. With like that we want to move, or Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairya Tat Karma. With Utsaha, enthusiasm, if we want to go, then we have to have that loving relationship within the devotees, and we have to have that strong attachment to our spiritual master. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult. So when we have that strong attachment to spiritual master, when he gives the instruction, then we take it as life and soul of within our heart. It's an internal process. Within our heart, we are taking it very seriously, and we are with enthusiasm, we are trying to follow whatever capacity we have. We are not like Hanuman. We are like squirrels. Little bit capacity we have. With that enthusiasm, we are serving spiritual master. Then what will happen? That attachment to that slowly, you are doing that service. That taste starts coming to the activities of the devotional service. That itself is ruchi, because then we can come up out of the Anartha Nivritti stage. Otherwise, what will happen, millions of lifetime we are chanting with Nama Aparad, we may not get Krishna Prema. So we have to break through that shield. In the material world, there are different coverings, right? The first Bhumi, some yojanas, and 10 times bigger than that, water. All that we have to break through. Then there should be that devotion with the force we have to pierce through. That force, how it comes? Only when we have that higher ruchi and with enthusiasm we are doing the devotional service. That tivrata should be there, intensity, intense practice. If we are only doing, it's called, goody practice. Goody practice, understand this word, goody practice. I'm coming nicely. I'm chanting my rounds. While chanting my rounds, mind is going all the universes. It travels from Bhuvarloka, Sargaloka, America, everything it goes. And when the 16 rounds is over, it comes back to chanting. This is what? Inattentive chanting. This is the root. This is the root of all offenses. When we are chanting inattentively, all other offenses might happen. But in order to really come up, we have to really chant attentively. And when we chant attentively, come out of that Nama Parada stage and come to Nama Bhas, come to Shuddhanam. This is very, very important. Then we can even give the confidence to other devotees, give the confidence to our spiritual master, that even I have material facilities like what Pracetas is given, I will not exploit it. I will use it everything in the service of the Lord. During the time of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they had, you might have seen that Ulta Dunga temple. How many of you see? Hardly few. That temple, you know how much big it is? It's very small, right? And he was preaching there. Now it is renovated. At that time, it is not much facility. And when they were preaching, slowly the congregation started going bigger, bigger. Many devotees started coming, and brahmacharis started joining more ashram, then more sannyasis. But it is very difficult to handle the programs at that time. Then, but still, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, first he used to take in the ground floor, small area he used to take the classes. Then when the congregation became bigger, he used to take the classes in the upper, the top floor. But still, it was not enough. Then what happens? One Grahastha will be there. You might be knowing this story. Huh? Grahastha will be there. He's quite rich, but what he does? He uses every single paisa, whatever he has, and he builds a big, magnificent marble temple. So big temple, and very nice devotees come. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is very happy with this devotee because he dedicated all his, whatever he has earned, almost everything in building that temple. And not only that, he took anxiety and effort to build that temple, personally monitoring it. So much effort it. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to give example of him many years that such a, even though he was a grahastha, such a dedicated, so that his happiness was that all the devotees are nicely congregating and engaging in that beautiful temple in Harinam Sankirtan. That he used to see and used to feel very bliss. And after some time he leaves the body. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was immensely happy. The point I'm trying to make is, like when we are undergoing the material enjoyment, for example, some ornaments are there, and ornaments, maybe the golden ornaments or whatever we are trying to put on ourselves, and we are trying to enjoy ourselves. When we are enjoying ourselves, what are the different things we undergo? What are the different emotions we undergo? One is anxiety. Anxiety. Why? Because the example of ornament, what if somebody will steal that ornament? This anxiety will be there. Then another emotions, what is that? Envy we may feel. Why? Because somebody else is having much more opulent ornaments, then one may feel envy. Then anxiety, then fear. What is the fear? Fear of losing. So when one does material enjoyment, the anxiety, fear, and also so many envy, so many emotions are in. But that same emotions, when similar emotions we are utilizing in the service of the Lord, how that Grahastha used, he took so much, he also took anxiety, right? He also took anxiety, he also took trouble, but for higher purpose, for serving his Guru Maharaj. So the point of what I'm trying to make is, in the material enjoyment or the material facilities, whenever it is given to us, we might face some emotions of different enjoyment or anxiety, fear. Actually, on the spiritual platform also, we are not bereft of anything. We have the higher enjoyment, or if one is feeling the anxiety also, it is for higher purpose. So emotions will be there, but it is for higher purpose, and it gives the result of whatever we are sacrificing also, what we are getting. Krishna will take us back to Godhead. And he is here, he is confirming it in the 18th shloka. In the what is the second benediction he is giving? Being completely unattached to the material and the enjoyment in the so-called heavenly planets, as well as in hellish planets, you will return home back to Godhead. returning back to Godhead. Personally, Krishna is telling that. And before that, you will develop unadulterated devotional service. Unadulterated devotional service means what? That's what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning the Sagunan Samatiyaitan. Is a free from three modes of material nature. And second thing is avyabhicharena bhakti. So it is always freed from material contamination. So to summarize, 4 minutes we have. So to summarize, Vishnu is giving the two benedictions to Pracetas. It is one is material facilities to enjoy in the earthly planets as well as heavenly planets for 1 million celestial years. And second one is returning home back to Godhead. But we should not understand that this material facilities is for sense gratification, not for janasya mohoyam aham mameti. It is for the service of the Lord. For that service of the Lord, what it is called? Yukta Vairagya. And we saw different examples, like one is the main example of that Grahastha who dedicated all his wealth in the service of his Guru. That is Yukta Vairagya. Whatever material facilities we have to utilize in the service of the Lord. And then we saw Avyabhicharena Bhakti. Because to break through this material enjoyment, we have to develop that strong attachment to Lord. And that strong attachment to Lord starts with strong attachment to our spiritual masters and strong attachment to devotees, having that loving relationship with the devotees. So when we have that loving relationship, we can feel that then Krishna starts reciprocating. Is a ye yathamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajami. How we are approaching Krishna, same way we will reciprocate. If we want that love from Lord, with the same mood, if we are having loving relationship with devotees, ye yathamam prapadyante, Krishna will reciprocate. And you can feel the love of the Lord in every situation. That can happen when how it begins with the service to spiritual master. Now, when we start serving the spiritual master, maybe hearing his instructions through Vani, understanding his heart, what is his heart, what is the heart of Srila Prabhupada, what was his mood, how we can, help spread this movement, whatever our capacity. When we do this, when we meditate on do these things and do whatever as per our capacity, like spiral, what will happen? Slowly we start developing that ruchi for the devotional service, the taste for the devotional service. When we develop the taste for the service of spiritual master, slowly we start developing that attachment to spiritual master. And that attachment, because the spiritual master is attached to Krishna, it is like this. We are attached to spiritual master. Spiritual master is attached to Krishna. Slowly, this becomes like this. Two-way. Attachment to this is also becoming strong. This is also becoming strong. So we become strongly attached to Krishna. Ainanda Tanuja Kinkara Patidamma Vishamem. So then when we have that strong attachment to Krishna, then we know next step. What is the attachment stage? Is Asakti. Next is Bhava Prem. What is that in one of the symptoms of Bhava? Is Mamata. What is Mamata? That possessiveness of the Lord. When attachment becomes very strong and deep-rooted, it becomes Mamata. It's a very strong possessiveness about the Lord. And when it becomes too much intensified and deep, becomes Prema. So this is the way to get Prema. So here Pracetas had that deep attachment. And Lord was very confident that they are completely unattached to the material enjoyment. So he gave all the facilities. So in our life also, we can develop this attachment by serving the spiritual master, having the beautiful relationship among the devotees, and having that strong attachment to our spiritual master. Slowly we'll develop the attachment to Supreme Personality. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Thank you so much. Any questions, corrections, or comments? Thank you. Hare Krishna. Attached, being attached. So basically, the detachment from matter, right? So that's the whole thing. So detachment from the material world actually begins with attachment to Lord. And because if we want to detach, then we have to, it is not happening like detachment. It doesn't happen like that. In order to have the detachment, we have to attach to something, right? So the attachment should be there. So devotees, what we do, we don't focus on detachment, because there, there are so much of giving the importance to detachment. Heart becomes hard. Dry renunciation makes heart hard. So devotees are not doing that kind of detachment. What they do, they start attaching to Krishna. So attachment to Krishna, when we are starting attachment to Krishna, slowly this detachment automatically happens. But how do we get that attachment to Krishna? So attachment to Krishna, we are doing services here. So basically, we surrender to spiritual master. That is the stage of bhajana kriya. When we surrender to spiritual master engages us in Navavida Bhakti. That's Abhideya, right? Process of Abhideya begins there. So we start doing services. But when we are doing the services, that anarthas are there. So when anarthas are there, heart doesn't agree, so easily to do the service with enthusiasm. So how to have that enthusiasm? We have to have the loving relationship with the devotees and loving relationship with our spiritual master, attachment to spiritual master, because that is the motivation in the beginning for us. Then when we are doing that, the services with enthusiasm, when we have the loving relationship with the devotees, and that strongly we are doing our sadhana, like I mentioned, chanting, coming out of that nama parada stage with complete attention. On one side sadhana is very strong, and on another side we are serving also very nicely. We can break through that anartha nivritti stage. Once we break through, when we become steady and still continue to have the strong attachment with the spiritual master, what will happen? This, when we are doing the services, you start getting the taste for the services. That's called ruchi. Like, whatever services we are doing, we are not doing half-hearted. In the beginning, if some services are given, oh, why the services came to me, when it will get over, how to complete it. So many, we feel it burdensome in the anartha nivritti stage. But as we are going ahead, we do any services with enthusiasm, and the taste is there. That is the stage of ruchi. So when the taste is there, our attachment, because however all this services are coming from spiritual master, right? And Shiksha Gurus, Diksha Gurus. So when we are doing the service, we start developing attachment to devotees, attachment to spiritual master. That is when we are developing that attachment to spiritual master, we are seeing him, how he is purely serving Krishna. His live example, right? We are seeing the personalities. So he is having attachment to Krishna. So how will I get? Because I'm having the attachment to spiritual master. He is having strong attachment to Krishna. He is having that prema in his heart. He will transfer that to us because we are serving him. through his Krishna Katha. It is said, no, like when pure devotee speaks, the words through his heart carries that beautiful fragrant of lotus feet of Krishna. And when it enters to the ears of in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when he hears it, what will happen? That fragrant and with the purity, it enters into the heart of the hearer. And what is happening? Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavatas. It's completely purifying the heart when we are hearing that Srimad Bhagavatam. So that same prema, what he is having, when we hear from him, that is automatically transferred. Because that is the word carries that purity. And when we are also serving. So when we have that strong attachment to him, he transfer that prema to us. So same we will have the strong attachment to Supreme Personality of God. Otherwise, how we will, Krishna is somewhere, we can't see deities. Many of us, we see, come, Hare Krishna, to deities. That's more than that, what we may pay some humble obeisance. But are we seeing the deity as Krishna, Radha and Krishna themselves? To have that vision, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, who gives that vision? Spiritual master only gives that vision. So we have to have that strong attachment to spiritual master. Then we can have the strong attachment to Supreme Personality of God. Because by the mercy of spiritual master, we can get. Only by pure devotee, he will give that attachment to us. That's the whole thing, like point. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.